We're back.
We're back, motherfuckers.
Sorry for the absinthe, but I can tell you whose fault it is. But we're back. Do you want to explain why, mate?
It wasn't intentionally my fault. So we obviously had the month of Ramadan, which is a fasting month, and it literally just takes away all your energy, and it doesn't leave much for common sense. Not that we do have much, but anyway. And then by the time you break fast and you eat at 5:30, 6 o'clock at night, you literally get into food coma and you don't have the energy to do nothing. So, and
Ramadan finished weeks ago, mate.
It did. So after Ramadan, it becomes our Easter, so to speak. So we celebrate our big Eid, which is equivalent to your Easter and so on. But unfortunately, we couldn't celebrate our Easter because of the genocide that's taken place in Palestine at the moment. So it was from fasting to broken-hearted to tears and to literally screaming out so hard, so loud, going to every protest that we can. So it's been a busy 2 months. But I couldn't have spent these last 2 months in any better way, on any better path. So, I'm proud of my effort.
Yeah, it's actually, speaking about the protests, so I went to the first one with you that they had at Rundle Mall, and we went for a walk around the streets there protesting. And but there was another 2 after that, wasn't there, or 3? And also, how big were they?
They were massive.
Compared to the first one that we're at?
Bigger and better.
Yeah?
Seriously, man. Yeah. So, for those who don't know what the protest was about, I'm sure everyone's got social media on their homes, especially TikTok, right? It's bombarded with the videos and the truth that's leaking out at the moment, which is the war in Palestine. Well, it's not really a war, as they say to speak. It's literally an army that's bombarding civilians. And hence, we walk the streets screaming out. Number one is because, unfortunately, our governments support the bullies, which was, I was gobsmacked to see, such a beautiful place, beautiful country like Australia still supporting a terrorist regime such as Israel. No difference to what, those terrorist ISIS were doing. I'm not sure if I could mention
Who cares?
that.
We'll see. But I think the main thing, before we go any further, is that the local media here in Australia, and especially around the world, I don't think they're portraying the unrest that's happening over there properly. They're obviously being very biased. And I'll put something up on Facebook myself, and I had a reply from someone, which is fine. I mean, people can have their opinion. It goes without saying, but they said that they support Israel, and I was a bit taken back by that. But I can see why that person would say that. It's because if you are following what the media are saying here in Australia, then no doubt that's exactly what you'll be saying. So I did a bit of research myself to have a look at how it all started in Palestine with Israel, but why it's happening, I can't find. But to break it down for everyone, everyone keeps saying, it's the Jews and Islam, which it's sort of true, but it's not. It goes a little deeper than that with Zionism.
Just before we go on any further, you guys would know me and Paulie have nothing to do with politics. We're literally just down to earth, good Aussie lads that funny ones to speak. We like to share our stories, as you know from our previous videos. So, not being biased about anything. Like, honestly, man, it's just coming from 2 lads here, Australian lads, that can't believe what we saw what we got exposed to, and it's quite obvious at the moment where the media is being paid off by, and how they manipulate things. And during doing this video, we're going to show you guys facts to back everything up that we're saying. This is no conspiracy theory. There's no bullshit. This is happening and taking place.
We've been shut down once before by YouTube. So this time I've done my homework, and they can fact check whatever they like, because I've done that. I've done the hard work for you anyway. So go for it. But I think I guess the one place we could start is with Zionism. What did you call it?
Well, let's get started about what's happening at the moment today, right? Because I don't want to take these guys back 100 years or 80 years, because somehow, somewhat, people think or feel, oh, that was a long time ago. Now, as we speak, there's a terrorist state called Israel that is literally have announced a law that anybody that is within Jewish blood, whether it's from New York, Australia, England, wherever, can actually travel to Israel. Sorry, it's not Israel, the occupied territory of Palestine, that they call Israel. So anyone you are, if you're Jewish, and you're even Australian, that your grandfather, is born here, but you have Jewish bloodline, you can go to Palestine, kick out a native family from their home, and the military will be behind you and place you into the house of this native Palestinian family's people. And if they dare speak up, we'll show you facts about that. And that's how it affects us today. It affects us because Scott Morrison supports this regime. And we'll get to that in a second, why he's a puppet.
You are stealing my house.
And if I don't steal it, someone else is going to steal it.
No one is allowed to steal it, يا عمي. Jacob, you know this is not your house.
Yes, but if I go, you don't go back. So what's the problem? What are you yelling at me? I didn't do this. I didn't do this.
But
It's easy to yell at me, but I didn't do this.
you are stealing my house.
So I don't understand how can someone can just kick out anybody from their home, let alone someone that has nothing to do with that turf or that land, that can go back. So a bum on Centrelink here just because he's Jew. Okay, he could be a complete freaking pedophile, junkie, whatever you want to call it. He can go to Palestine, kick out a Palestinian family from their homes and live in their houses, throw them. They've got 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes to get out of that house. Children, literally, that have got their school bags there, their whole life, their family photos, their favorite pets, so on, out on the street just for these families to move in. This is what we call ethnic cleansing, and it's apartheid at its best. So I'm kind of hurt. For one, this has taken place in 221. Number two, for our government, Scott Morrison, to actually side with Israel. It's embarrassing. Not the people. The Australian people finally have broke their silence, and they all stand with Palestine. You know, before the media was so one-sided, that they've silenced the Palestinian case for so long. But you know what? God bless TikTok. It was too much for them to silence it. The videos were coming out direct from the conflict. They had no control over it. They couldn't silence us anymore. Everyone can see. And people, you know, I keep saying, Australian people are beautiful people. They just need to know the truth, and they will act. And finally, they're aware of the truth and then what has taken place today. And I don't know any Australian that I know in my life, and all my friends are Australians. I don't know one that will stand for this or agree to this. So
well, a lot of people, like I said before, mate, you know, they only know from what they're seeing on the news. Like for example, you know, if you say the city or whatever of Israel, people think, oh yeah, it's been around for, you know, hundreds and hundreds of years, and which in actual fact it hasn't. It was Israel's only been around since 1946.
48.
Well, okay, 48.
48 is when the
well,
flag.
that's it, yeah. And it was actually it was handed to the Rothschilds.
Mate, I think
given to them.
Your dad's car is older than the state of Israel. Seriously. Right? My Land Cruiser, I think, is older than the freaking state of Israel.
Yep. And I think that's where a lot of people are getting their facts wrong. They're thinking that because of religion and everything else, that it's a I don't know, really, I don't even really want to fucking say it, but I will anyway, like an Islamic takeover or guided by terrorists and everything else. When in actual fact it isn't. It's actually when you do your homework and you have a good look to see exactly how it's been set up since 1946 or 48 by the British government, it's pretty sad.
So the way that they're justifying it, their argument, which is quite pathetic, if you ask me, they say it's been promised to them by God 3,000 years ago.
Well, hang on a sec, mate. That's not what my fucking paperwork says.
Hang on a sec. So, regardless, right, what a pathetic argument. I believe in God. I'm a godly person. But, you know, we're living in this down and age. If I take to the court of law and evidence to my court case that's stripped from the Bible or the Quran, he'll look at me that I'm a freaking lunatic, that this is my evidence for stealing somebody's home. They're getting away with this.
All right. Here's one here. So this is from November 2nd.
Can we get to this just in the next 10 minutes?
Yeah, what was
just
that?
to educate people about who these people are.
Yeah, well, I'll go back to the first one then.
Okay. Most about them, isn't it?
Yeah.
So now this has taken place, and not also that, genocide has taken place. Kids have been getting stolen from their families. A lot of facts, backups, which we'll share with you in this video. Because, you know, we're not known for editing and so on. So this is the whole thing. We're all about giving you raw videos, right? We're not editing. But I feel that at this time, I would like to back my facts up. Because, you know, my job is now to create awareness to my friends and to all you guys, right? So you need to know. You need to know this. You need to know what our taxes are getting paid for. It's our right to know what it's getting spent on.
Yep.
It's our right to say we don't want to go to war with these people because our kids, right, that are fighting these wars, and it's our right to say yes, we are going to stand up for this and we're going to fight this. But if the truth is manipulated, right, it is my job to expose it. So everyone's aiming at the moment the guns at the state of Israel, which, yes, they are committing terrorist acts and genocide, war crimes. At the moment, as we speak, they're under the United Nations investigations of war crimes and human rights and so on. So everyone's gunning for them, which is, I don't know how far this will get because, again, we have the US which have the veto power, and they can veto any decision is made by the UN. So we don't know how far this is going to get. So I think the UN needs to take the veto power away from the US. As we know, the US has proven to us that they are in no shape or they should have any privilege on leading the world in morality or to play this world police. You know, I think even a small kid would know that now. I mean, Trump, Bush, follow on, they made a mockery out of themselves. So who the hell are they to tell us Australians how we should live? That's for one. So this is how it all started. After World War II, the Jews got massacred, massive genocides against them by the Nazi regime, by the Germans, and so on. Well, it's not fair to say the Germans, by the Nazi regime. They got annihilated. So they escaped all Europe. And after the defeat of the German Nazis, the world, in particular Britain, has felt sorry for them and wanted to give them a home as a homeland. From then, this is why did Britain do this?
Here you go.
Because there is a tremendous wealthy family in Britain are called the Rothschilds, and they are Jewish descendant. So they created a movement called the Zionists. Zionists are all Jewish Europeans. So they had nothing to do with the land of Palestine. They weren't dark-skinned, dark-haired, and so on, like the Jews that lived in peace and harmony with the Palestinians in Palestine. These are European Jews, and if you check them out today, they all actually still hold on to their German passports, Polish passports, Russian passports, Hungarian passports, and so on. Just in case, right, their plan didn't work out. So the Rothschilds are known to, obviously, until today, they're the wealthiest family in the world.
Bankers.
They own most of the
Central banking.
central banks in the world. And they're worth, estimately, something like $500 trillion. Now, obviously, we don't hate on people because they have money. Quite the opposite. I actually get admired for people with wealth because we've got a lot to learn from them and their success.
100%.
But not this family. This family decided to buy land from Arab leaders, whether it's the King of Jordan at that time and so on. They actually bought the land that it didn't belong to any of those of the sellers to start with, and gave this family, the Rothschilds, a land called Palestine.
Here, I got it here from the horse's mouth. The head of the central banking empire, Lord Jacob Rothschild.
Yep.
He was interviewed not long ago. So when they interviewed him, he was 80 years old, and he says in a recent interview that his ancestors helped pave the way for the creation of Israel, forcing the British government to sign the Balfour Declaration in 1917. The Rothschilds are commonly believed to have engineered World War I and waited until, well, obviously there's a lot of money in wars, waited until 1917 when British showed signs of trouble. The Zionist family then promised the British government that they could convince the US to enter the war and ensure Britain's victory over Germany on the basis that the British government handed control of Palestine to the Zionists.
To the Zionists.
Yeah, so really, well, I mean, who the fuck gave the Brits the right to hand over any country to anyone to sign it over?
Well, that's one. Two, the reason the Rothschilds have got England by the balls and the US, because the Rothschilds are known to, or have bailed out England and most of the banks of the world, especially the Bank of England and so on, from bankruptcy. So they have lent these countries tremendous amount of money that country's indebted to this Jewish
That's
Zionist
how pretty much how the war started with
family.
Hitler. Yeah.
And until today, I don't think this debt could be paid to this family. So they've asked for repayments in obviously in promises that causes genocide today by actually stealing land that doesn't belong to any of them. So all these new settlements that are getting built on native lands, there's homes there. You know how here, I live in one which they call heritage listed houses. You know that in Australia there's only 120 years old, so on, and they're called heritage houses. We're talking about Palestine here. These houses, some of them you can trace them back to 1,500 years, 2,000 years that the Palestinians have lived and inherited from 4, 5, 6, 10 generations that are being kicked out of and demolished. History is getting wiped out as we speak. This is Palestine. This is Bethlehem, the birth of Jesus Christ. So all these new settlements and new apartments, new roads, the whole funding of the state of Israel, okay, have started and is, I believe, still continues until today from the wealth of this family, the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds is the head of the snake. And I think it's in their best interest. Not many people actually know about them. Not many people talk about them, right? Because the devil's favorite trick is to trick mankind that he didn't exist, right?
100%.
So obviously these Rothschilds don't care how many Israelis die for the time being. They don't care how many Palestinians die. They don't care how many American soldiers go to war for them and die, as long as their plan gets executed. So forever they're hiding in the back scene that no one's actually exposing them. No one's talking about them, that they're behind this. So I think the Rothschilds is just a family. They don't have an army, but their wealth is operating through England and through, obviously, as we're going to provide facts soon, by the kings and the queens and so on, because they are so indebted to this family that they think it's only fair that they stand by them. Now, obviously it's not right, correct? So it doesn't matter how much of a friend you are to me and how much I'm in debt to you. I'm not going to watch you commit rape and murder in front of me, and I have to support you just because you've lent me 10, 20 grand, 50 grand, $2 million. I can't.
You hand over a country, no worries.
Mate, I'm going to say, listen, dude, from today on, unless you change, you are not my friend. This is nothing. It's quite obvious, man, that you can't just support people within doing wrongs. Even if it's my own brother, I will not support him in the wrong. I won't. I'll disown him.
Yep.
Okay, because he broke everything that we both raised up to be. He broke that truce. He broke that umbilical cord between me and him. There's nothing between me and him if he's going to commit sin and rape and so on. So I don't understand why. I do understand their motive, which is, obviously they're choosing finance and the dollars over morals and dignity.
But when you say that, you know what their motive is. But usually, when a lot of the war in the Middle East, the motive is behind obviously the resources. Everyone knows that, right?
Yeah.
But what is there in Palestine for these people, mate? That's what's got me absolutely buggered.
I think if we always knew the plan before the war, we would have stopped all the wars.
If anyone else out there knows or thinks they know, leave a comment down below in the comments, and we'll love to have a look and have a search for ourselves. So it'll be a great help.
So I don't know, and something I don't know, I don't speculate about, but I do somehow feel that because I know the Zionist movements and Freemasons are very, very tight, and the Freemasons are very connected to the King Solomon, and they believe that that even now some of the Freemasons call themselves the Knight Templar,
the Knights Templars,
the Knights Templars, and so on, and they're all talking about the temple of King Solomon. To us, he's a prophet Solomon. So we believe that the Prophet Solomon have rebuilt the mosque, the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. they say that we built Al-Aqsa Mosque on top of, I just don't want to get people side drifted a little bit. This is a little bit deeper, even for me. But it's all tied up, with the Freemasons and the Promised Land and the King Solomon. And their plan is, until only 10 years ago, it was actually, it's public knowledge that they wanted to demolish the mosque that has been standing there for the last, 1800 years.
Actually, that's an interesting story. Why they won't?
It is.
Go and explain it, buddy. It's interesting.
Why they won't? Or
Yeah.
Why they will?
What happens if they do destroy it? Happens to them? What's written in the Quran?
In the Quran, one of the major signs of Day of Judgment is when the mosque of Al-Aqsa crumbles to the ground. So they wanted to destroy it. Obviously, it was quite obvious that you can't destroy a church or a mosque, especially this mosque is equivalent to the Vatican City to us Muslims. So they decided to dig underneath the mosque with fully watched engineers that they have to prop the mosque, obviously according to engineer reports, as they keep digging. And until today, they still continue to dig. So the agenda is definitely spiritual. I definitely don't believe it's it's a pleasant spiritual agenda, because if it was a pleasant spiritual agenda, you wouldn't be killing the innocent. You wouldn't be dragging people out of their homes. You wouldn't be abusing the women and the elderly, and even stealing kids.
Yeah.
To sell human organs, in the black market. And everything I say, I'm going to show you actually facts to back it up today. And guys, don't take my word for it. Actually do your own research. At the moment, I think the media, I believe, is the most powerful weapon in the world.
Brainwashing mechanism.
Like, honestly, I do, because, somehow, somewhat, yesterday only, for some reason, every Australian, and I don't blame them, right? I don't, because I'm an Australian, believed that every Muslim is a terrorist, right? That was only about, 15 years ago. And now we understand, right? We know the facts that...
Who's behind it?
Who's
What the
behind
regime is.
How we got brainwashed.
Who owns the media.
Correct. So we're going to show you facts where the Prime Minister of Israel have had meetings with Instagram and TikTok leaders to block out anything that is pro-Palestinian. Some of my videos did not make it out on TikTok, and they say you're violating such and such. It was totally freaking crap. It's unbelievable, dude. Like, seriously,
The censorship, the big tech censorship that's going on these days,
it's massive.
Is horrible.
It's massive, and that's that contradicts about freedom of speech. If I wanted if I wanted to know something, it's not up to you to predict what to show me, and what to teach me. I want to learn it for myself. You're there to show me the black and the white, and it's up to me to understand what is white and what is black, to speak. So, back to this family of the Rothschilds, I think we need to expose. They're the real enemies. I believe they're responsible for all the wars that are taking place now. Because
100%.
Every single war that has taken place, whether in Libya, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Syria, in Egypt, right? It's all because they never had and never agreed for these people's banking system to exist in their countries. Never. So these countries, obviously, it's unbelievable what happened to these countries in the last 10, 15, 20 years. It's unbelievable.
This is how the war started with Hitler. He had a central banking system in Germany, and then, of course, things weren't going too well over there. They were controlling everything. Every Deutschmark or whatever come tied to a debt. everyone was living in poverty. Hitler got voted in. He ended up kicking out the central banking system. The Deutschmark he got the Deutschmark up strong again. And actually, if you have it's hard to find, but you'll find it online. If you have a look at all the things that Hitler did for his people, it's amazing, mate. It is absolutely amazing. He was a good bloke back then. But then what happened? That they wanted to get back in again because of course they wanted his money, and that's when shit hit the fan. And who was he after? Unfortunately, he decided to go for the Jews, didn't he? But unfortunately, he went for the wrong ones. And that's where he fucked right up.
Well, according to my knowledge, first he realized that obviously what is happening in Palestine now, slowly it was happening in Germany, right? All these gypsy refugees, Jews that were in Europe, they were manipulating their way into the German system, something chronic, where every important job it was actually owned by Jews. Or the parliament slowly was very Jewish dominated in a European country, in a Christian country, and now we know how the Jews work. That it's all has to be by Jewish law. So look at it in a political sense, right? Don't look at it for now, Jew, Christian, and so on. This has nothing to do with it. This was just a political reason, and Hitler wanted, obviously, the best interest for his people. So he started cutting those maneuvers slowly. So he preferred a German to take an important job before a Jew. He wanted to weed them out out of his governments and make sure they are Germans. I think he took it a little bit extreme at the start. This is at the start. Obviously, he did take it freaking disastrous at the end. But at the start, he was going extreme. But even if you're in line at the shop and you're a Jew, you would have to go to the end of the line and let a German be served before you. So as this was happening, the Jews, I think in Germany, again, started their own conspiracy behind him and trying to work against him, take him down, steering and calling for help from other sides. Hitler got the woof of what's going on. He actually gave them 6 months to leave Germany because they wouldn't submit to his rules. And, why should they? They lived there, they were born there. So after the 6 month warning, they didn't believe him that he declared martial law on every single Jew, and that's when all the massacres, sadly took place. And I say sadly, with, from the bottom of my heart, because if anyone understands what it's like to be singled out because of religion or race, it's me as a Palestinian. So, that has happened. And when they got moved out of Europe and escaped the war zone, whoever did escape the war zone, believe it or not, it was the Muslims that sheltered them. Mm-hmm. It was the Muslims that showed protection and opened doors for them, because nobody in Europe dared to open the doors for them because they knew Hitler will come.
Yeah, we'll show you on the map as well. So from 1946, 48 up into 2012, you can see on the map that all the green, and you'll see the white dots there. That is where were the Jewish settlements. So that's where they were sharing with Islam. And then
with Palestinians.
Palestinians, yeah, thank you. And then you can see slowly where Israel has just started taking over, and of course backed by the how do you say it? Zionists. And then of course that's when things started turning south, because the Rothschilds had it in their head that it was given to them and it's theirs, and they're the ones who've been causing all this trouble the whole time.
Palestinians lived in Palestine, and the Palestinians obviously, was it's a race. It's not a religion, and the race consisted of of Christians, Muslims, and Jews that lived in peace and harmony together for thousands of years. Each, again, I will back it up by facts.
Yeah.
Each and one of them were allowed to worship their own religion freely, and the churches that are still standing today will speak for themselves, and the Jewish temples still standing today, that they'll speak for themselves. And that's, you're talking over 1,500 years under the rule of Islam, right? That these churches and Jewish temples that stood there freely. So just to show that there was no aggression or force that came from the Muslims against these different religions. So I think my point, I was trying to say that Palestine was dominantly 90% Muslims. So when I say, the proof of the churches and the Jewish temples are still standing today, and Jews and Palestinians are friends, that's one of the biggest proofs, because if there was any type of aggression back then, when there was no such thing as media to cover, I don't think there'll be any Jewish wall standing today or any church standing today. So it goes to show. But unfortunately, when the Zionist, so these Jews that came from Europe, they play the card of Jews. They hide behind the religion of Jews, but they're not Jews. They don't even understand the first verse of their Torah, which is their
Bible.
They are blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jews, right? So go figure. So the Jews that lived amongst the Palestinians, you'll see they actually look very similar to me, dark, brown eyes, and so on. And they love their neighborly Muslims and until today, they are actually our biggest supporters as Palestinians, are the traditional Jews of that land.
Yeah, even they're upset about what's happening.
Upset is one thing. These guys actually disown anything to do with these Zionist movements, because they know they have nothing to do with the religion or the Jewish people. These people are from Europe. They are there as a political and military base for the UK and the US. And the whole idea behind them that created this movement is a family called the Rothschilds. They have obviously an agenda that we haven't quite figured out yet. So it was obviously as good enough and I think deep enough for me to get to this family, the Rothschilds, and expose them as much as I can do, because they still operate until today. So from the banking system is where they made most of their wars, most of their money from the banking system. And then until a few decades ago, they moved into France. They actually own all the wineries in France at the moment. So massive fortune for them in France at the moment. So if you see anything to do with Chatillon, this and any French wine, etc., that all belongs to them. So what I'm trying to say, I think their claws are so deeply sunken into these superpower countries that everyone's too scared to stand up to them. And Australia, unfortunately, our government, they don't have a backbone.
We have a central banking system here. All of our banknotes say Reserve Bank on them now. They used to, years ago when we were kids, they used to say Commonwealth Bank on there. Part of it was all our notes were tied to the monarch and backed by gold. And it would actually say the Commonwealth on there. But see, now that's all changed, and all the banknotes say the Reserve Bank. Who's that? We're all tied to a debt, aren't we, with the Rothschild, with the central banking system. They own us as well.
So whether they owned us, I think, or not, bro, I think Australia as a country, I don't think any prime minister we had a backbone or any balls, man, to speak up and say, I'm here to...
Well, hang on. Look what happens when they did, though. You look at JFK was a perfect example when he went to go against the banking system. No different to what happened with Hitler. And what happens, and JFK wasn't the only one.
So JFK obviously wasn't there to serve any Zionist. No. He sworn to serve the American people and the American people only.
Yeah, his famous speech dictates it all.
Yeah, and within freaking months, he got assassinated.
Yeah.
And they blamed it on a Palestinian.
Oswald.
No. There was another one called Sirhan.
That's nothing like Harvey Oswald.
No. Because two of the Kennedys got assassinated.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
So
Well, no, I'll have to have a look. 'Cause I thought one of them was a plane crash, and then the other one was.
no, this one was a pistol during a crowd and a protest, and he emptied a lot of clips into him. So
Okay, yeah.
and the JFK when he got shot by a sniper and it got blamed onto somebody else.
Yeah,
as well.
Harvey Oswald, yeah.
So if you don't play, it goes to show, man, how strong and powerful the Zionist system is in America. If you don't play by the rules, they'll take you out. Doesn't matter who you are. The whole Congress.
Ronald Reagan was another one too, actually. Henry Ford was another one that had attempts against their life for going against the grain. Yep.
So, it's definitely a big boys game. It's definitely a big boys game. And I think it doesn't get bigger than that. These are the elites of the world. Like, that's it. It doesn't get bigger than them. So we're telling you about a family that tell the royals in England what to do because they're indebted to them. We're telling you about a family that will sit Trump and Biden and Skymer. I shouldn't even mention Skymer. He's just fucking rat
idiot.
anyway. We'll sit these people down and we'll tell them off like little kids and smack them around like little kids and tell them this is what you go and do, and they'll just go and do it. I think what I'm sad about is that our Prime Minister doesn't have a backbone, and he's just a nobody. For him to stand up and say, I support Israel, or Israel has the right to defend itself, you freaking numbskull. Defend yourself from what? From what? Israel is the oppressor. Israel is occupying somebody else's land, and yet you have
They're picking
support.
They're picking on a country that doesn't even have its own army.
Doesn't have an own army, so there's a resistance movement
That's right.
in Palestine.
That was voted in by the people too, mind you.
Voted in by the people.
Yep.
And just because they show any type of resistance, they label them as terrorists. Anyone, the problem is, it doesn't matter who shows resistance to these oppressors gets labeled as terrorists. So the word terrorism has become so manipulated, just like anti-Semitic now, right? Has become so manipulated because they think it's a get-out-of-jail-free card
Guess who
for
invented
the
that?
US, for the US and Australia and England, right? So it's a get-out-of-jail-free card for them to cause genocides and war, just like they did in Iraq and Afghanistan and Libya and everywhere else. The minute they say terrorist, right, the people won't argue with it and they'll just let it slide. But fuck no, you know what? We refuse to be brainwashed anymore. And you have to give me evidence. Why is he a terrorist? Why? Am I a terrorist? Because so if someone comes now to steal my fucking house and I come out with a baseball bat, how am I a bad guy? How am I the terrorist? These people are defending their homes. And you, Scott Morrison, you fucking scumbag, you have the balls to call them terrorists? Where's your fucking logic?
That's the media, mate.
You're trying. That's right. You're trying to brainwash our Australian brothers here,
Yep.
right, on what to believe and how to think.
Yep.
Guess what, mate? That ship has sailed a long time ago, and no one believes your crap anymore. No one does.
Nope. And the ratio for people that believe what's on the news now is well past 50-50, mate. There's a lot of people waking up and
you're
starting
being
to realise.
generous.
Yeah.
You're being generous, dude.
And you know what? You know who I was reading last night? Do you know who actually invented the term anti-Semitic?
Who?
Fucking the Rothschilds. I swear to God, it's written on there. Yeah, if you speak against the Zionists or whatever, you were anti-Semitic. And they're the ones that brought it up.
So again, we're just to educate people. Being anti-Semitic and anti-Israeli are two different things. Because we're not anti-Jews, the opposite. Jews are godly people.
Yep.
They, by my religion, Islam, it tells me they are people of the book. Same as the Christians, we call them people of the book. They are our cousins, right? So we're just against a terrorist regime. It's called Israel, that does not represent Judaism, has nothing to do with the Jewish religion, because the Jewish religion does not tell you to cause genocide and kill and destroy and murder and blow up buildings, hospitals, schools, bloody media buildings. Why? Because you can't control the media anymore.
Well, hang on a sec. Where's all our hard-hitting journos these days? We have news presenters, news correspondents, news readers. Where's the journalists? We don't have journalists anymore. And I tell you what, exactly what you said there too, brother, about the Jews. You look at how many, you get online and have a look at the Jews that are actually speaking up against what's happening in Palestine at the moment. Even they're fucking disgusted.
Anyone that has a heart will be disgusted. So I think my job is, I have, as I said, I have no doubt that, majority of Australians are good people, and none of them will stand for this dog act that ScoMo is trying to take stand on. So I think it's just my job is to create awareness, and hence we're going to share some facts. We hope that we don't get censored again by YouTube. And if we do, like we caused a revolution against Facebook and we made them lose over $300 million a year by rating them to 1 star. And I urge you, if you need to do something, this is where it hurts these people. So obviously that dollar comes before morality and upbringing and godly things. So let's hit them where it hurts. So if YouTube is going to do that anymore, we are going to cause a revolution against YouTube, and we're going to ask for 1 star rating until they get off a Play Store app and so on.
There's other platforms that we can upload to as well, so it doesn't have to be that at all.
Power to the people, power is to the people. And you know what, I ask you, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, you got blessed with the power to show truth, and act with righteousness.
With a heart.
Why do you submit to oppressors? Why do you submit to evil? Why do you sell your souls? Why? You don't need the money. You obviously don't. And even if you did, how fucking could you? I don't understand it.
Me either.
Paulie, if I give you, I know you, bro, well, right? If I give you $20 million in order for you to kill a child.
No, fucking hell. You know what? Someone else said the
Or be silent about it, Paulie.
No. Someone asked me if they'd...
And you know what?
Yeah, go on.
You don't have a net worth of $500,000 and you would never accept it. You are more in debt than you own.
Pretty much. Oh, no, not... Oh, yeah, I am. I am by about 100 grand.
Right, but you wouldn't do that. So I'm asking all these social media owners, how the fuck do you sleep with yourselves at night knowing that you're selling your soul to fucking demons? It's disgusting. It is disgusting. And we're not asking for anything more. I'm not asking for you to lie or cheat or anything. All I'm asking for you is just to show people the truth, which is the only fucking job you have to do. It's what you signed up for. It's what you took an oath to do. I'm going to take a little break.
Going to have a smoke and calm down. Yeah, no.
So,
yeah, absolutely. But
just want to say to everyone,
go on.
I'm sorry if this episode, it wasn't like, our old episodes as mine and Paul.
He's not sorry. He's been waiting all week for this.
I really wanted to joke and laugh and just be a normal person, but it's hard to be a normal person, and it's hard for me to be a normal person in Australia, let alone how can these kids be normal, living under this oppression, or these women or these older men or anyone that's getting oppressed. So this is why I refuse to be silent about it. And if I have a platform of even 50 people, 40 people, you know what, I'm going to use it to do what's right.
Yeah, 100%. And like Abe was saying before, you can go to Play Store and you can go to the review section of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Oh, Jack Dorsey, superstar, hey? And YouTube, did I say that? YouTube. And then you can leave a review and a comment. Anything under 3 stars would be perfect for them. We don't need to be censored. We need our journalists back. We don't need scripts given to our news presenters around Australia and have them lie to us. I think it's fucking disgusting. And, and it all boils down to money too. Oh, we need a job. We need this. You know what? If it was the same thing for me, mate, I would leave my position straight away.
There's a lot of good people, though. There's a lot of good people refuse to stay silent. There's a lot of good people that refuse to sell their souls. Yeah. And believe me, the wheel will turn. It will turn around.
Hopefully sooner than fucking later, that's for sure, mate.
Before we finish, I think I have never been prouder in my life to be a Palestinian. I'm the proudest person on the earth, and I thank God I'm Palestinian, seriously. So, and it's a good thing to be proud of such a noble country and noble cause that have showed resistance for the last 80 plus years and refuse to go down. Refuse to go down, scream and yell so loud that their voices is heard here on the other side of the world. Because that's the voice of victory, that's the voice of resistance. God bless them. Guys, we're going to take a break. We'll be back.
And also, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. And don't forget that
button.
All right, thanks everyone. We'll talk to you soon.
Let's talk a little bit about the Rothschilds. I think you have actually got some facts with their own signatures on some statements and agreements.
Yeah, well, we can go right from the very start here. The Zionism is an organised movement.
Zionism as an organised movement
is generally considered to have been founded by Theodore Herzl in 1897. But however, the history of Zionism began earlier and is related to Judaism and Jewish history, which I don't think the Jewish people are too happy about. Okay. But the Ahavei Zion, or the Lovers of Zion, were responsible for the creation of 20 new Jewish cities in Palestine between 1870 and 1897, it says here. I didn't know that either. Okay. The movement's central aim was the re-establishment of a Jewish national home and culture centre in Palestine by facilitating Jews' return from diaspora, which means, I guess, they were, I think, outcasted.
From Europe.
Mm-hmm. As well as the re-establishment of a Jewish state, usually defined as a sector state with a Jewish majority, attaining its goal in 1948 with the creation of Israel. So that's how that all started.
That day, by the way, the 1948, Paulie, it was a day, it's called the Nakba.
Uh-huh.
The Nakba was the biggest disastrous day that happened in Palestine. It was the day when they drove out millions, man, of Palestinians.
Yeah.
Killed them, massacred them. It was a genocide, pushed them out to the borders.
Yeah.
It was a disaster day for us, and that's the day the Israelis put that filthy flag in Palestine and called it Israel. 1948. So, technically speaking, that only happened yesterday. This didn't happen 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, that's right. Like everyone thinks.
Our dads were around.
Yeah.
Our dads were, young.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Dad was born in 46.
Yeah. So during that 48 is when my grandfather took my family and became refugees in Lebanon. During those days, it was a disaster for my family. I have later on, another war took place in Lebanon, 1982, and my oldest brother, got taken from my father. Until today, we don't know what happened to him. So may he rest in peace. I hope he's in a better place now. He was only 18 years old. A lot of rumours came out that they got shot dead. They got tortured and then killed. People said they got sent to prison. It was, we don't know. We actually don't know what happened to him. So that's my dad's first child. His name is Khalid. And if he was here today, God bless his soul, he would be about close to 54, 53 years of age if he was around today. But that was the cause of obviously the movement in the 1948 when my parents got, my father and my grandfather got pushed to the borders of Lebanon. And then Israelis decided to declare war and invaded Lebanon. And that's when they started capturing the Palestinians and caused massacres in Lebanon, again, of the Palestinians. So I don't know whether it's the actual land that they're after or to wipe out any existence of the Palestinians and their history.
Yeah, well, like we said before, if anyone out there thinks they know what it is, what the agenda is behind all this, leave a comment down below. We'd love to hear about it and have a bit more of a look into it for sure.
It's amazing, even in the Bible, it says, and in the Torah, in the Jewish book and the Christian book, as well as in the Quran, in the Muslim book, it says, I'm sure everybody's seen the cartoon when, because I know Australians are not very religious people, and I'm sorry to the religious ones, but that's the ones I know. When Moses saved the Jews from slavery, from the Pharaohs, cut the sea in half, and so on, and brought them to the land of Palestine. And he didn't enter Palestine, though, according to all of religion's knowledge, whether it's Christianity, Judaism, or Islam. He stopped on the border of Palestine, and he said, enter the land if you have followed what I have taught you and if you believe in God. In the Bible, again, it mentions the Palestinians. It says the Jews turned around to Moses and said they are people of strength and we fear them. Even in the Bible actually mentions the Palestinians as people of strength. And then they denied Moses. They denied him and they turned on him, and massacres took place. Moses actually went to speak to God by himself to get guidance, and by the time he came back with a scripture, he seen them actually took the cow. Literally, they took a cow as a guide to them, just within the matter of 40 days. After everything he's just done for them, they still denied him. So they've always been people of mischief and arrogance and very questionable. They thought they're above everything else. They've always had that arrogance in them. And that's when Moses cursed them and actually deprived them and banned them from going into the land. And then he said, you'll be scattered in the lands for 40 years. And that's why we see there's 12 tribes of the Jews, because they all got scattered. And some ended up in Morocco, some ended up in Algeria, some ended up in Europe. They're scattered all over the world. From a religious perspective, so we're coming to you guys in a geographical aspect, in law and order aspect as we know it, but I want to just, hit a nerve in a religious aspect, because they're brainwashing a lot of people that God told us so, God told us so. God did not tell them anything. No. God has actually banned them from the land, and he cursed them, and he sent them to be scattered into the world, and hence why they turned to gypsies into Europe and all over the world. And they weren't allowed to have a state. So they're a tribe. They're a tribe that are called the Israelites. Any real Jew that loves his God and loves his religion, he will admit to this, and he'll say, it's against our religion to own land. Moses banned us from actually owning any land. They are forever to walk the earth preaching godly things and bringing people closer to the one true God. That was the only job that the Jews had. And they still seem, not all of them, some of them, God bless them, bless their hearts.
Let's just go a little bit off the track here, because you said that that their job is to educate people of who the true God is. Now, there is only one God, yeah?
Correct.
Okay, there's 3 books of God. So we have the Bible,
Yep.
the Harak, that's correct?
There's 4 books.
4 books.
4 books.
4 books.
Yep. The Zabur, Taurat, Injil, and Quran.
Yeah.
Quran is the last of the prophets and the last books of God.
God, yeah.
The Injil, which is the Bible, was before the Quran.
Yeah.
The Quran was given to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, through the angel Gabriel. Jesus Christ had the Bible, was given to him through angel Gabriel, to spread to the people. The Torah,
Which is the Jewish one.
which is the Jewish one.
Yeah.
Yep. Again, it was given to Moses, peace be upon him, to give to the people.
Now answer me this, 'cause
Tell me.
I know you're going to, and it's an awesome story. I love it. Is why is there 3 books or 4 books?
Well, to me, to my understanding, why is there? Because,
Yeah.
as you know, you can't just teach a kid in kindergarten physics and chemistry. You have to teach him the ABCD. And then, when he reaches university and graduation is when you teach him the physics, chemistry, math, science, and so on.
Yeah.
So God, understanding his mankind, he had to teach them the ABC. So, and to me, there is no difference in Islam, true Christianity, and true Judaism. And the reason I say that, because there have been many manipulated books of Judaism, there have been many manipulated books of the Bible, but there is no 2 Qurans until today. There's only one Quran, word by word, dot by dot, full stop by full stop, comma by comma. And that's because God has taken an oath that he is the only protector of the Quran and his word. He said, I'll protect my word. I will not trust mankind anymore with my word. Because he's seen previously what mankind did to the Bible. A book that was written, given to the angel Gabriel to give to Christ, and then manipulated by King James to rewrite it and rip up pages from it as he pleases, like it's some freaking plastic surgery. So obviously, God did not trust mankind to look after his word anymore. They were untrustworthy, and hence why he took the responsibility on protecting the Quran. Hence why it never changed in languages, stayed and remained to the original language that was brought down by the angels. Unlike the Bible, it was an Aramaic to Latin to Hebrew, then to English. And as you know, change of languages, changes of meanings, understanding, translations, very deliberate, by the way, why it's been changed. Obviously to suit the ways of empires and the Western way of life, right? Because
Opinions.
because as we know, Christians as well, by the way, they weren't allowed, and this all links back to the Rothschilds. So according to Roman Catholics, they aren't allowed to deal with interest. So that was against the religion. Hence why Jews did not have that imposed on them. And that's what made the Rothschilds' wealth became what it became, because that's when they took the banking system in Europe, and they were able to charge interest, but the Roman Catholics couldn't do that. And that's what made the Rothschilds their first fortune. And that's how they started their banking system.
So what it actually says that in the
This is public knowledge.
yeah.
Yeah. So again, Christians as well as Islam, now any Islamic banking system is forbidden to charge interest or take interest, for that matter of speak. Obviously, gambling is forbidden. Same in Christianity, same in Judaism. So obviously, again, prostitution, same thing, is forbidden. But let's face it, if the West had to forbid interest, gambling, alcohol and drugs, and prostitution, where the fuck would the West be today, right? There'll be a third world country like the rest of them. There would, because right, casinos, pharmaceuticals,
Yeah. Pharmaceuticals the biggest.
alcohol. So that's what made, obviously, that's what the Western society is built on, which is like forbidden things. So hence why everything, I believe, that's why things got twisted in the Bibles and so on to keep these empires, obviously, again, choosing finance over morals, dignity, and religion, which is what they continue to do today. Fact of the matter. So yeah, Rothschilds. That's where they started. Just on that point.
Well, yeah, we can get to that. So, as I said earlier, that the recent interview with the 80-year-old Lord Jacob Rothschild,
Yeah.
that his ancestors helped pave the way for the creation of Israel, forcing the British government to sign the Balfour Declaration in 1917.
His ancestors?
Yeah, because the Zionists.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Rothschilds are commonly believed to have engineered World War I and waited until 1917 when Britain showed signs of trouble. The Zionist family then promised the British government that they could convince the US to enter the war and ensure Britain's victory over Germany on the basis that the British government handed control of Palestine to the Zionists. Thus, the Balfour Declaration was created, which is an official letter from the British government Foreign Secretary James Balfour to Baron Rothschild. And if you get on the internet, that declaration you can print off. Amazing.
That's signed by the Rothschilds. So guys,
No, by Balfour.
but
To the Rothschilds.
this is Balfour, but I think Balfour is
What's that? Oh, he was in charge back then.
England.
Well, I should look into that. Jesus. So let's have another look here. He was British Government Foreign Secretary, James Balfour.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that agreement right there is what's causing, until today, the disaster that is happening until today now,
Yep.
as we're speaking. People are getting driven from their homes, from their native homes, to just to honour this financial agreement that was paid for by blood. Still getting paid for by blood today.
Yep. I'll read it out. Dear Lord Rothschild, I have much pleasure in conveying to you, on behalf of His Majesty's government, the following declaration of sympathy with Jewish Zionist aspirations, which has been submitted to and approved by the Kabine. I'm not sure what that is. I should look that up. His Majesty's government view with favour the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people, and will use their best endeavours to facilitate the achievement of this object. It being clearly understood that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine.
Bullshit.
Yeah. All the rights and political status enjoyed by Jews in any other country. I shall be grateful if you would bring this declaration to the knowledge of the Zionist Federation. And then he signed the bottom, Balfour. Bit messy, he's got like kids writing. But the Uprooted Palestine's report, during a television interview, the Times of Israel reports that Balfour revealed for the first time the role of his cousin Dorothy de Rothschild. Rothschilds described Dorothy, who was in her teens at the time, as devoted to Israel, and said, which she did, which was crucially important. Rothschild said that Dorothy connected Zionist leader Chaim Weizmann to the British establishment. Beg my pardon. Dorothy told Weizmann how to integrate, how to insert himself into British establishment life, which he learnt very quickly.
This Dorothy, by the way, she got married to a Zionist Israeli that later became the Prime Minister of Israel.
Yeah.
So this was all happening in-house. This whole dealings and handshakes and money exchanges, it was all happening in England, taking place in England, in order to buy land that wasn't theirs, right? And obviously it mentions to preserve the rights and to let the native people of that land practice their human rights and their religion freely. Again, as we know, the Zionists don't honor any agreement, and like fuck, I mean, seriously, well, you're an honest thief. I'm gonna steal your house, but I'm gonna let you keep the backyard, okay? And I'll let you still use the toilet. But I should be grateful for Mr. fucking Jacob Rothschild.
Well, I mean, this is the thing as well. I mean, they cause trouble. So then what is it? Problem, action, solution. It wasn't our fault. Are they causing the trouble?
By the way, just so you know how was England involved in this, so England wasn't they've conquered Palestine at that time. So the English army had Palestine under occupation at that time. So there was a truce made where the English army was there, and as the English army was leaving, they handed over Palestine to the Zionist movement, Israelis. So that's how England gave them the land.
Yeah.
Just so...
Yeah, it makes it
understand.
clear too. Yeah, exactly right. But I mean, really, at the end of the day, what gave them the right to even do that? Do you know what I mean? I've never seen a British flag in Palestine my whole fucking life.
So it goes back, to media manipulation, and why we get frustrated is because the Palestinians are getting labelled as terrorists by the media, right? Whether it's Sky News, Fox News, CNN, BBC, also one, they're all owned, by the way, by Zionists.
100%. I think that's the biggest. That should be the biggest eye opener for everyone listening to this. Where does manipulation come from?
So that's what pisses me off, that these people are getting labelled as terrorists to the Western world. We are being lied to over and over and over. So we say, you're not to manipulate us anymore. You can't just, literally, as my mate told me, you can't piss on my back and tell me it's raining, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And you can't just fucking take us for idiots anymore. No one believes your crap. You're the only ones that believe your own crap anymore. So I think it's fully exposed now. It's no more hidden. It's no longer hidden anymore. And Israel's justifications for this genocide is they're saying that there's a resistant movement that's throwing rockets at them in Israel. And that was their reasoning and their justifications for killing 60 children in Gaza, including 250 civilians, and arresting 500 people. So I think it's only now that the media has I think the media now is in the hands of everybody, and it's so in reach. So again, as I said, TikTok was the new player on the block, and they couldn't keep up with censoring everything. So videos leaked. People are thinking, what the fuck? Is this what's really happening? So amazing, right? The weapon that they created has finally backfired at them. And the way they're putting any justifications to this are saying there's a resistant movement in Palestine that threw rockets at Israel. Mind you, this is a country, Palestine, that has no army, no clean water, no any medical supplies for these people. It's literally an open air prison that Israelis have driven 2 million people into an area that is smaller than a suburb in Melbourne or Adelaide or Sydney, right? 2 million people in one suburb, and actually built a wall around this whole place. And their reasoning for killing children, they say, these resistant movements are using civilians as human shields. How the fuck can anyone show resistance from a prison without putting anybody at risk? You can't. You just can't. It's the most populated place on the face of the planet per square meter, right? So their idea to them is to just lay down there, cop it sweet, get bashed, get raped without showing any resistance. So if a kid caught a rock and he threw it back at a soldier, he's called a terrorist. If anybody picked up a gun and shot back at a soldier, it's called a terrorist. You know, it's bizarre. It's bizarre. You know, saying the Palestinians are wrong and the Israelis are good today is like calling, right, the Germans back in the Nazi days, like calling the Germans Nazis good and the Jews were bad. There's no better comparison. How can you call... Let's go back to the Holocaust, right? First of all, it disgraces me that if anyone should know oppression and ethnic cleansing, no one should know it more than Jewish people, right? And don't get me wrong, it's not the Jews that are doing this. Okay, I know this because I know they're godly people. It's people that are hiding behind the Jewish religion. So for a fact, these people are not Jews. Yeah. Just like ISIS was hiding behind the name Islam.
Mm-hmm. And who was that set up by?
Same fucking people.
The same people that brought you Israel.
ISIS and Israel are the creation of the same demonic people.
Yep.
Okay? Only by the Rothschilds, US, and so on to create more banking systems.
Yep.
So, you know, it's bizarre. How can someone that can defend his home be the bad guy? How can the right become wrong and how can the wrong become right? You can thank the media for this. You know, the media have got huge obligations and believe it or not, the blood is on their hands. The blood is on their hands because I believe if you support terrorism in all means or shapes or be silent about terrorism or cover up on terrorism, let alone to help manipulate and cover and, you know, paintbrush the good guy and praise the terrorist, I think you got those children's blood on your hands, right? So we all know a scumbag is a scumbag, right? We all know that. But for people to be silent about it and support it is even a bigger disease than terrorism itself. Because yet you claim to be a good guy, but you're not. So a message to Scott Morrison and Biden and Pine, is it Christopher Pine, I think, they all stood up and said Israel has the right to defend itself. You know, you should be disgraced. You are a disgrace to this nation. You are a disgrace to Australia. Biden, Trump, all same shit. These are all puppets to financial gains. You know, and I don't think you guys are fit enough to run a country. You know, and I don't think you guys are fit enough to run a country. No way. No way. You deal with terrorists, you should be a terrorist. You should be, you know, all these people from Netanyahu, the scumbag, to Scott Morrison, to Biden, and so on. Anyone that supports terror and oppression should be facing war crimes and the justice system. You know, what's good for the goose, good for the gander. If anybody had anything to do with those terrorist groups of ISIS, they will face court and they'll get punished. Right? Same thing, anyone that supports Israel or stands up by them, they should face justice.
Well, there's talk now that the UN have stepped in about war crimes against what's been happening, but I think we all know what's going to happen from there. I don't want to be painting the picture just so early, but I don't think anything's going to come from it, mate, whatsoever.
Well, no, the US have got the rights of veto, right? So any decision that the UN can take, the US and England are equivalent to 70% of the votes of the United Nations. So I think the first step the UN has to do is take the US veto power away, or just kick the United States out of the United Nations, because we all know they're biased and they're pro-Israeli. But this happened before, you know. I think the United Nations all voted on Jerusalem not to be the capital of Israel, but America, I think the US embarrassed all of them. I mean, on broad daylight, Trump turned around in the middle of the United Nations after something like 38 countries voted against that decision. Trump stood up, said, we're cutting aid off of you. We're not supporting you financially. You're not to be protected by our army anymore, and so on. Literally blackmailed everyone on that table. So, you know, I think no one can take the US seriously anymore, and we need to just bypass them, and the world will be a better place. And as we've seen, I mean, you know, they're not an honourable country, nor do they represent the world police in any means. They have proven to be nothing but a mafia system that can run into countries and do the work for the banking system, and just literally are there just for oil, gas, and so on.
Oh, mate, that's how it was. That's how it all started, isn't it?
So it's my job, I think, just to create awareness for all of our viewers, and I really hope, you know, if you guys, if I missed any questions, to clear anything, you know, please don't ask questions. Support in the comments, in the likes, ask questions so we can boost this video, and hopefully it can reach a lot of people. And again, you know, it's not our usual videos on what we do. You know, we're usually just happy chaps talking about day to day, like, which is a good thing. You know what? So at least, you know, people can see from our other videos that we're just a normal freaking guys, man, from Australia that
Steals your mum's car.
steal mum's car, you know, did bad shit, fucked around, turned back obviously to the good side, you know, created businesses, families, and
Well, I think the most important part here for people to remember, this is our world, not theirs. We don't have to be dictated by these people, be told what to do, told when to sit down, told when to stand up. We are the people. This is our world. We live in it. We turn the financial wheels. All they do is really fuck it up. We give our power to them, and we shouldn't.
We're going to leave a link on our video to, it's a petition. It's a petition that can get signed, and it should get signed by every single one of us, to force our government to stop their dealings with a terrorist state as Israel, stop funding a terrorist state as Israel, and not to do any business with a terrorist state as Israel. Ireland, God bless Ireland, and all the Irish people. I love them, honestly. I'm speechless, you know, towards how noble and honourable those people are. They are the first country to stand up and recognise Palestinian struggle, and they have voted to expel the Israeli ambassador out of their country because they refuse to do business with any terrorist regime, you know. So Australia, I mean, you can learn a thing or two from honourable people that themselves suffered, you know, under the English, and they understand what it means to show resistance and get labelled as terrorists, right? Because they were defending their rights and their beliefs. So yeah, we'll leave some links. Please do share, boost, anyone that has a platform, whether it's 2 people, whether it's 100 people, whether it's 1 million people, don't be scared, guys, to stand up for what's right, because that's what counts at the end of the day.
That's right. It's not just for the people of Palestine. It's for all humanity. Who's to say that's not going to be happening somewhere else? These people just need to be stopped at the end of the day. The whole lot of it, the whole regime, everything. The killing, stealing of children, the stealing of resources, everything. It just needs to end.
Nelson Mandela's favourite quote after they freed South Africa, he said, "We are not free until the land of Palestine is free." That was Nelson Mandela. Malcolm X, another one, said the freedom of Palestine, and he said, "We are not free as black men until Palestine is free." Also, Black Lives Matter are all supporting the Palestinian cause like you have no idea, because it's the same training of the oppressors with a whole kneeling on people's necks to humiliate them and just to oppress a victim that doesn't even have no weapons, is not resisting, just to crush their spirit and take their manhood away. They're actually trained by IDF, Israeli soldiers. They actually teach the American police how to handle these protests. Again, everything I'm speaking, I will back it up by facts. Last, from my point, how can we act? Obviously by signing these petitions, because that's how we do things in Australia. I hope to say we're a democratic country. The people have a voice. The people can do things, right? So these petitions get signed. They go to our senates. Our senates, they put it forward to our governments, and they say the people have spoken. So let's speak.
I also have Scott Morrison's direct telephone number to his office, to his secretary.
Oh, really?
100%.
Okay.
Yep. It's 0262 71 5111. I'll say that again. It is 0262 71 5111, and you can ring his office, get in touch with his secretary, and leave a message, as I have already done, for actually, I can't even say it.
Is there an email address on there?
No.
No. So after obviously we do this first step by signing the petition and taking the right steps in Australia to get things done, we are gonna show you as well on some links of products that do we need to boycott, which is these products margins and funds, they go directly in support of the IDF, which is the Israeli Defense Force. And those are the terrorists that are causing this genocide today. You'll be surprised which products are they. One of the first products is Starbucks. Starbucks, famous words, they said for every...
Well, we don't know, but go on, say it.
For every cup of coffee from Starbucks is equivalent to 2 cups of Palestinian blood. This is, whether it's true or not, I will support it by facts if it is. Regardless, we know for a fact that Starbucks do fund Israel, and we refuse for any of our money. Because you think about it, right? I know we don't know, and I didn't know as a Palestinian, I didn't know that any product I'm buying that supports Israel, it could buy a bullet for a kid.
McDonald's,
right?
Nestle, SodaStream.
McDonald's, Nestle, SodaStream. We're gonna leave a lot of things.
IBM.
And guys, I'm for one, honestly, I hate buying any product that is not made in Australia. Before I buy any product, I actually ask, is there a product that's made in Australia first? Because I believe our money should stay here in Australia, And definitely, I don't want my money being spent on or in support of any terror or racism or oppressing or oppression. So we have the right to where to spend our money and where to and to know where our tax money is being spent on. And if it's going to go to terrorist regimes, I think it's our right to say no. Even, I'll go as far, if I couldn't change things, maybe we'll get to that. But let's keep it PG for now, right? Well, there's many ways, man. Well, there's many ways we can hit them where it hurts. Obviously, these guys wake up in the morning and they pray to the almighty dollar. And if this is where it hurts them, this is where we're going to hit them. Simple as that. And it hurts, trust me. It's working. Facebook is hurt because of our ratings into Facebook, dropping 1 star to Facebook. You can, and we have already made them lose hundreds of millions of dollars because they get taken off the Play Store app and Google apps. So by doing that, they lose something like $362 million a year. That's a nice
a lot of money.
chunk. It's funny. Once all of this genocide was taking place, America decided to sell $763 million worth of weapons to Israel. This is one of the strongest and well-equipped armies and air force in the world. I think they're considered to be the second most powerful army in the world.
Israelis?
Hey?
Israelis?
Israelis.
Shitting me.
No, and a nuclear, so they own actually nuclear.
What, bigger than China and Russia?
Yeah, they've got the latest tech, bro. The latest tech, everything. So
Of course they do. Look who's backing them. Look who's funding
Russia
them.
doesn't have the same fighter jets as Israel has. Russia doesn't have the missiles or the Iron Dome that protects Israel from any missile that's getting launched at them. And this country is this whole issue in Palestine and Israel is being played as there's some kind of symmetry there, that there's two armies are fighting or two sides are fighting. There's no two fucking sides are fighting. There's an army, a superpower country, nuclear equipped country, an army with the latest tech, fucking best machine guns, best rockets, best missiles, best everything, annihilating villages that don't even have a fucking airport or a gun.
Yep. Yep.
Go figure. And we have scumbag Morrison saying, I support Israel. The fuck is wrong with you, mate? Like, honestly, what the fuck is wrong with you? How obvious is it that you're just there to, literally to suck dick, man?
Yeah, true. Yeah. Exactly
You're
right.
sick.
Let's wrap it up.
You wanna wrap it up?
Yeah.
Again, sorry guys if I'm overreacting a little bit.
Yeah, it's not overreacting.
After I
No
state
need to
the
be sorry,
facts,
mate.
after I show you guys, and I hope you'll see some videos, because like I said, we're not about editing and doing plastic surgeries to our videos, but I feel that on this one we have to. So Paulie is under a lot of pressure to show you guys firsthand the information that is getting leaked out at the moment. Direct from the horse's mouth, direct from the Palestinians that are asking for your help today, direct from the mothers that are screaming today. I'll wrap it up by saying this. There was a letter that was sent to an Australian Senate direct from a Palestinian mother in Palestine. She said in her letter, tonight, me and my 2 daughters are sleeping in the same bed and will continue even in the daytime sleep in the same bed. Because if we die, I want us to all die together, so none of us would have to mourn the other in the morning. Just how fucking powerful words of that mum. And if it doesn't shake anybody that's listening today, then you're not worth of even watching any of our videos, seriously. So we're going to show you, again, evidence and facts of everything that we're speaking about. This is no conspiracy theory.
What the
This is
news won't
happening.
show you.
Yeah.
What they're hiding from everyone. It's a disgrace.
Guys, I love yous.
We love yous.
Hopefully the next video we'll see some results where the UN has taken action, where this filthy Netanyahu, he's the Israeli Prime Minister, by the way, is up for war crimes and is arrested. You know, amazingly enough, before I go, before all of this has taken place, Netanyahu was facing fraud charges within Israel, corruption, theft, and so on. So this is days, right? This is the result of these cases was only days before this issue took place in Palestine. And finally, the decision got made that he is not to continue being a prime minister in Israel anymore. Meaning, if that happened, he could have faced jail time because he's no longer a prime minister. He lost the seat, bang, the court cases would have got carried out against him, and he would have been a criminal in court, on bail, waiting to get charged. So he decided to cause this conflict. He started driving the Palestinians out of their homes during the month of Ramadan, attacking worshippers in the mosque. So pretty much what happened in New Zealand, Christchurch, it was nothing compared to what happened in the mosque in Palestine. He sent his own soldiers to throw rubber bullets at worshippers, actually threw grenades inside the mosque, bashed women, kidnapped children, knowing that this is going to cause a revolution and he's going to be off the hook, right? So he thinks people are not onto him. Everyone's onto him. People in Israel are onto him. Jews are onto him. But he's just so fucking powerful because he's backed up by the US and England and those people have got obviously are steered by a family like the Rothschilds that have a huge amount of financial power behind them. So he just literally he gets away with murder, but I don't think he can get away with this anymore. So this is how this all started. He was facing court. He was about to be a typical criminal on bail, facing charges. He decided to throw these couple of firecrackers in there. Let's cause this revolution. He'll be off the hook. Next thing you know, Gaza's getting annihilated. Annihilated. So, guys, we love yous. Thank you so much for listening. Please, like I said, I urge you all to leave comments and boost and ask questions. Seriously, do ask questions. I will not take anything to an offense because my friend Paulie was just like you guys, not knowing anything about this, and asked me questions that I would never take to an offense, and I would explain. And he would ask me, is such and such really a terrorist? Are they really the bad guys? Is this really happening? So don't be shy. Throw questions.
And do your own homework. Exactly like I did. Once I started having a bit of a poke around, it wasn't hard to put the pieces together and then realise what the media are really lying about. It's easy. It's easy. I was within 1 hour. I was sorted. Not even. So, thanks again for watching. Please, while you're watching this, smash that like button. Smash it now. Smash it. And subscribe and share as always. And we love yous. We'll talk to you again very soon. Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Peace.
It's absolutely extraordinary. Are you not just taking us, Ambassador, for idiots? That you can say with a straight face, we're serious about peace, but while we're serious about peace, we're going to seize Palestinian land. And you expect the Palestinians to just sit back and do nothing about that. Now you know what the Palestinian people have been asking for. Far less even than some people would ask for. Because I believe the whole apartheid system should be dismantled. But what they've asked for is to lift the siege of Gaza. Just to lift the siege of Gaza. Let them have an airport. Let them have ports. Let them not be dictated to by a government for whom they do not vote as to what can go in and out of their territories, whether they will have power, whether they will have clean water, whether they will have medicine. What makes you think you're allowed to have nuclear weapons and the fourth biggest army in the world and visit destruction on the people of Gaza? Ambassador, I will say frankly, I'm one of the people who thinks you should be expelled from this country, and I believe that it's to do with the policies of your state. If I was Jewish and had never stepped foot in Israel, I could claim citizenship there tomorrow, but 6 million people whose origins are in what you now call Israel, who were forced out in 1947 or 48, do not have that right. Isn't that part of the reason why the Palestinians are in dispute with Israelis? Because you deny them the right to return to their homes and to their land and to their villages, and that they have a legitimate claim, even under international law, to return, but you deny them that right. Why do you deny them that right? And why do you give that right to other people who have no connection whatsoever with the land, whether you call it Israel or whether you call it Palestine? Why do you continue to seize land if you're serious about Oslo and the two-state solution, which under that agreement is land designated to be Palestinian land? 500,000 people, most of which has taken place since Oslo. You allow that to happen. Why do you allow it to happen? If you're serious about giving this land to the Palestinians, it's absolutely extraordinary. Are you not just taking us, Ambassador, for idiots? That you can say with a straight face, we're serious about peace, but while we're serious about peace, we're going to seize Palestinian land. And you expect the Palestinians to just sit back and do nothing about that. Now, you know what the Palestinian people have been asking for. Far less even than some people would ask for. Because I believe the whole apartheid system should be dismantled. But what they've asked for is to lift the siege of Gaza. Just to lift the siege of Gaza. Let them have an airport. Let them have ports. Let them not be dictated to by a government for whom they do not vote as to what can go in and out of their territories, whether they will have power, whether they will have clean water, whether they will have medicine. What makes you think you're allowed to have nuclear weapons and the fourth biggest army in the world and visit destruction on the people of Gaza, but they have no right to defend themselves? They have no territorial sovereignty over that land.
Could you ask questions, please?
How do you justify that?
Yeah. All right.
How do you justify those double standards? Very lastly, Ambassador, people like Bishop Tutu, Nelson Mandela, and I would certainly describe your state as a apartheid state, with different laws for people depending on their race or religion. For example, at checkpoints going into the West Bank, there's a channel if you're Israeli or European, and there's a channel if you're Arab. Just because you're Arab. If you came into Dáil Éireann and they stopped you and said, "Are you Jewish?" "Oh no, sir, you can't come in through the same entrance as Irish people or European people because you're Jewish," you would call that racism and apartheid. You practice that with your checkpoints and your military barriers and your apartheid wall. How can you justify that?
عم بيصلوا شايفين كيف؟ كانوا عم بيصلوا شوفوا كم قنبلة صوت طلعوا على بيصلوا. كمان في داخل المصلى عم يطلقوا قنابل الصوت داخل مصلى القبلة.
لا تعالي سهرة. الله أكبر يا لطيف يا الله أكبر.
القنابل الصوت عم ترمى وين ما كان على المصلين الآن.
بعد منطقة القريبة. ليه احنا الجندي ما زعطنيش؟ لأنه مرة أجا خبى والتاني لف وجهه وضل راجع، وجيت أنا مسكني ضربني ونادى التاني شو مشغول.